Hello everybody, this is part 10 of reading the entire Bible. We are on chapter 28 and there is no title for this one, so let's go ahead and start. Isaac therefore summoned Jacob and blessed him, charging him, "You shall not marry a Canaanite woman. Go now to Padan Aram, to the home of your mother's father Bethuel, and there choose a wife for yourself from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fertile, multiply you that you may become an assembly of peoples. May God extend to you and your descendants the blessing of Abraham, so that you may gain possession of the land where you are residing, which he assigned to Abraham." Then Isaac sent Jacob on his way. He went to Padan Aram, to Laban, son of Bethuel the Aramean, and brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Esau noted that Isaac had blessed Jacob when he sent him to Padan Aram to get himself a wife there, and that as he gave him his blessing, he charged him, "You shall not marry a Canaanite woman," and that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother and gone to Padan Aram. Esau realized how displeasing the Canaanite women were to his father Isaac, so Esau went to Ishmael, and in addition to the wives he had, married Mahalath, the daughter of Abraham's son Ishmael and sister of Nebaioth. Jacob's dream at Bethel. Jacob departed from Beersheba and proceeded toward Haran. When he came upon a certain place, he stopped there for the night, since the sun had already set. Taking one of the stones at the place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. Then he had a dream. A stairway rested on the ground, with its top reaching to the heavens, and God's angels were going up and down on it. And there was the Lord standing beside him, and saying, "I am the Lord, the God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you are lying I will give to you and your descendants. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and through them you will spread to the west and the east, to the north and the south. In you and your descendants all the families of the earth will find blessing. I am with you and will protect you wherever you go, and bring you back to this land. I will never leave you until I have done what I promised you." When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he said, "Truly the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." He was afraid and said, "How awesome this place is! This is nothing else but the house of God, the gateway to heaven." Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head, set it up as a sacred pillar, and poured oil on top of it. He named that place Bethel, whereas the former name of the town had been Luz, L-U-S, or L-U-Z. Jacob then made this vow, "If God will be with me and protect me on this journey I am making, and give me food to eat and clothes to wear, and I come back safely to my father's house, the Lord will be my God. This stone that I have set up as a sacred pillar will be the house of God. Of everything you give me, I will return a 10th part to you without fail." Page turn. Chapter 29, Arrival in Heaven. Oh, that's not right. Arrival in Haran. After Jacob resumed his journey, he came to the land of the Kedemites. Looking about, he saw a well in the open country with 3 flocks of sheep huddled near, for flocks were watered from that well. A large stone covered the mouth of the well. When all the shepherds were assembled, there they would roll the stone away from the mouth of the well and water the sheep. Then they would put the stone back again in its place over the mouth of the well. Jacob said to them, "My brothers, where are you from?" "We are from Haran," they replied. Then he asked them, "Do you know Laban, son of Nahor?" "We do," they answered. He inquired further, Is he well?" "He is," they answered, "and here comes his daughter Rachel with the sheep." Then he said, "There is still much daylight left. It is hardly the time to bring the animals home." "Water the sheep and then continue pasturing them," they replied. "We cannot until all the shepherds are here to roll the stone away from the mouth of the well. Then can we water the flocks." While he was still talking with them, Rachel arrived with her father's sheep, for she was the one who tended to them. As soon as Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of his mother's brother Laban, and the sheep of Laban, he went up, rolled the stone away from the mouth of the well, and watered Laban's sheep. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and wept aloud. Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative, Rebekah's son. So she ran to tell her father. When Laban heard the news about Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet him. After embracing and kissing him, he brought him to his house. Jacob then repeated to Laban all these things, and Laban said to him, "You are indeed my bone and my flesh." Marriage to Leah and Rachel. After Jacob had stayed with him a full month, Laban said to him, "Should you serve me for nothing just because you are a relative of mine? Tell me what your wages should be." Now Laban had 2 daughters. The older was called Leah, the younger Rachel. Leah had dull eyes, but Rachel was shapely and beautiful. Because Jacob loved Rachel, he answered, "I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter Rachel." Laban replied, "It is better to give her to you than to another man. Stay with me." So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, yet they seemed to him like a few days because of his love for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife that I may consummate my marriage with her, for my term is now completed." So Laban invited all the local inhabitants and gave a banquet. At nightfall he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and he consummated the marriage with her. Laban assigned his maidservant Zilpah to his daughter Leah as her maidservant. In the morning there was Leah. So Jacob said to Laban, "How could you do this to me? It was not for Rachel that I served you. Why did you deceive me?" Laban replied, "It is not the custom in our country to give the younger daughter before the firstborn. Finish the bridal week for this one, and then the other will also be given to you in return for another 7 years of service with me." Jacob did so. He finished the bridal week for the one, and then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as a wife. Laban assigned his maidservant Bilhah, Bilhah, to his daughter Rachel as her maidservant. Jacob then consummated his marriage with Rachel also, as he loved her more than Leah. Thus he served Laban another 7 years. Jacob's children. When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he made her fruitful while Rachel was barren. Leah conceived and bore a son, and she named him Reuben, for she said, "It means the Lord saw my misery. Surely now my husband will love me." She conceived again and bore a son, and said, "It means the Lord heard that I was unloved, and therefore he has given me this one also." So he named him Simeon. Again she conceived and bore a son, and she said, "Now at last my husband will become attached to me, since I have now borne him 3 sons. That is why she named him Levi. Once more she conceived and bore a son, and she said, "This time I will give thanks to the Lord." Therefore she named him Judah. Then she stopped bearing children. Chapter 30. When Rachel saw that she had not borne children to Jacob, she became envious of her sister. She said to Jacob, "Give me children or I shall die." Jacob became angry with Rachel and said, "Can I take the place of God, who has denied you the fruit of the womb?" She replied, "Here is my maidservant Bilhah. Have intercourse with her and let her give birth on my knees, so that I too may have children through her." So she gave him her maidservant Bilhah as wife, and Jacob had intercourse with her. When Bilhah conceived and bore a son for Jacob, Rachel said, "God has vindicated me. Indeed, he has heeded my plea and given me a son." Therefore she named him Dan. Rachel's maidservant Bilhah conceived again and bore a second son for Jacob, and Rachel said, "I have wrestled strenuously with my sister, and I have prevailed." So she named him Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had ceased to bear children, she took her maidservant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as wife. So Leah's maidservant Zilpah bore a son for Jacob. Leah then said, "What good luck." So she named him Gad, G-A-D, or Gad, I guess I should say. Then Leah's maidservant Zilpah bore a second son to Jacob, and Leah said, "What good fortune, because women will call me fortunate." So she named him Asher. One day during the wheat harvest, Reuben went out and came upon some mandrakes, mandrakes, in the field which he brought home to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." Leah replied, "Was it not enough for you to take away my husband, that you must now take my son's mandrakes too?" Rachel answered, "In that case, Jacob may lie with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrakes." That evening, when Jacob came in from the field, Leah went out to meet him. She said, "You must have intercourse with me because I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." So that night he lay with her, and God listened to Leah. She conceived and bore a fifth son to Jacob. Leah then said, "God has given me my wages for giving my maidservant to my husband." So she named him Issachar. Issachar. Leah conceived again and bore a sixth son to Jacob, and Leah said, "God has brought me a precious gift. This time my husband will honor me because I have borne him 6 sons." So she named him Zebulun, Zebulun. Afterwards she gave birth to a daughter, and she named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel. God listened to her and made her fruitful. Final page turn. She conceived and bore a son, and she said, "God has removed my disgrace." She named him Joseph, saying, "May the Lord add another son for me." Jacob outwits Laban. After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Allow me to go to my own region and land. Give my wives and my children for whom I served, and let me go, for you know the service that I rendered you." Laban answered him, "If you will, please. I have learned through divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you." He continued, "State the wages I owe you, and I will pay them." Jacob replied, "You know that work I did for you and how well your livestock fared under my care. The little you had before I came has grown into an abundance, since the Lord has blessed you in my company. Now when can I do something for my own household as well?" Laban asked, "What should I give you?" Jacob answered, "You do not have to give me anything. If you do this thing for me, I will again pasture and tend your sheep. Let me go through your whole flock today and remove from it every dark animal among the lambs and every spotted or speckled one among the goats. These will be my wages. In the future, whenever you check on my wages, my honesty will testify for me. Any animal that is not speckled or spotted among the goats or dark among the lambs got into my possession by theft." Laban said, "Very well, let it be as you say." That same day, Laban removed the streaked and spotted he-goats and all the speckled and spotted she-goats, all those with some white on them, as well as every dark lamb, and he put them in the care of his sons. Then he put a 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob was pasturing the rest of Laban's flock. Jacob, however, got some fresh shoots of poplar, almond, and plane trees, and he peeled white stripes in them by laying bare the white core of the shoots. The shoots that he had peeled he then set upright in the watering troughs where the animals came to drink, so that they would be in front of them. When the animals were in heat as they came to drink, the goats mated by the shoots, and so they gave birth to streaked, speckled, and spotted young. The sheep, on the other hand, Jacob kept apart, and he made these animals face the streaked or completely dark animals of Laban. Thus he produced flocks of his own, which he did not put with Laban's flock. Whenever the hardier animals were in heat, Jacob would set the shoots in the troughs in full view of these animals, so that they mated by the shoots. But with the weaker animals, he would not put the shoots there, so the feeble animals would go to Laban, but the hardy ones to Jacob. So the man grew exceedingly prosperous, and he owned large flocks, male and female servants, camels, and donkeys. That's where we're going to stop for today, right before chapter 31. I don't think we've done a progress check in a while, so examine that. Oh. And that's where we're going to stop for today. That was a little longer than I thought it would be. Glasses off. Great work today. I'll see you guys next time.